Adam Silver has found himself in some serious hot water over the management of the WNBA, and is they faking rape?
Sometimes the most powerful response is saying absolutely nothing at all. And right now, Caitlin Clark is proving that silence can be more devastating than any clapback could ever be. Because while Adam Silver scrambles to control the wildfire he started, Caitlin hasn't said a single word, not one statement, not one tweet, not even a subtle Instagram story, nothing. And that silence? It's absolutely destroying the WNBA's carefully crafted narrative faster than any three-word response ever could. You see, when the NBA commissioner sits down for what's supposed to be a routine interview and accidentally admits the WNBA is broken from the inside out, you'd expect the league's biggest star to respond, right? Maybe defend the league, maybe throw some shade, maybe do something. But Caitlin Clark did the one thing nobody expected. She went completely silent. And that calculated quiet has Adam Silver in full panic mode behind closed doors, desperately trying to keep her happy while his entire league realizes they've become dependent on one player who doesn't even need them anymore. If you believe the story behind the story matters, if you're tired of the smoke and mirrors the WNBA keeps throwing at us, smash that like button. It tells us we're on the right track. And trust me, what we're about to uncover is going to change how you see this entire situation. Let's rewind to where this disaster started. Adam Silver sits down with NBC News, thinking he's about to deliver another polished corporate talk about growth and inclusivity. You know the drill. Historic expansion, positive relationships, rocket trajectories, all the buzzwords that sound impressive but mean absolutely nothing. Except this time, somewhere between bragging about the league's success and trying to explain why players are threatening lockouts on social media, Silver decides to say the quiet part out loud. The WNBA doesn't just have economic issues, it has relationship issues. That line hit harder than a flagrant foul, because in plain English, he just confirmed everything fans have been screaming all season long. This league is broken from the inside out. The second those words left his mouth, social media absolutely exploded. Players started giving him the side eye. Fans went ballistic, and the internet crowned him the guy who finally admitted the WNBA is total chaos. Here's where it gets interesting. Silver probably thought he was just being transparent, maybe even brave for acknowledging the problems. But what he actually did was light a match inside a fireworks factory. Because while he's talking about relationship issues and trying to butter up Commissioner Kathy Engelbert by mentioning her historic growth, everyone watching knew exactly what he wasn't saying. The relationship issues aren't with just any players. They're with the one player who's actually driving that historic growth he keeps bragging about, Caitlin Clark, and she's been watching this whole mess unfold without saying a single word. Now, here's what many of you have been saying for weeks, and you were absolutely right. Silver tried to have it both ways in that interview. He praised Engelbert for overseeing historic growth, but then immediately added that they still have big relationship issues with players. So which is it, Adam? Historic growth or complete disconnect? You can't brag about rocket ship success while your own players are publicly calling out leadership on national television. The math doesn't work unless, of course, the historic growth isn't actually about leadership at all. It's about one generational talent who accidentally became bigger than the entire league combined. Let's filter out the noise for a second and look at what actually happened here. The same week Silver gave this interview, the WNBA released reports claiming their finals ratings had doubled. Sounds impressive, right? Plot twist. Nielsen conveniently changed how they count viewers this year, suddenly adding in bars, airports, and random hotel TVs. So yeah, the ratings look better, but only because they changed the math. It's like saying you're taller this year because you started wearing heels. Fans immediately saw through it. They weren't buying the historic growth narrative anymore because they knew the truth. Those ratings didn't double because of brilliant leadership or league expansion. They doubled because Caitlin Clark exists. Every single time she steps on the court, ratings spike. Every time she opens her mouth, social media trends go wild. She could probably sneeze and the internet would churn out 10 articles about it. That's her level of impact. And that's exactly why Silver's comments struck such a devastating nerve.
He stepped out and started talking about the crazy nonsense of a civil war that's going on between Iron Man or Iron Woman, Kathy Engelbert, and Captain America, Nafisa Collier.
Because when you're the commissioner trying to downplay one player's insane impact while simultaneously admitting your league has massive internal problems, you're basically telling everyone that you don't understand your own business model. And fans felt like he was literally biting the hand that's feeding the league all this newfound attention. But here's where Caitlin's silence becomes a masterclass in power dynamics. She didn't need to clap back. She didn't need to defend herself or call anyone out. Because the moment Silver admitted those relationship issues existed, everyone already knew he was talking about her. The league's desperate attempts to pretend they can survive without her had just been exposed as complete fiction, and she let that realization sit there, unaddressed, undisputed, devastating. While Silver's trying to walk back his comments and Engelbert's pretending everything's fine, Caitlin's out here inking another massive off-season speaking deal. Reports are whispering it's worth close to $500,000 per event. She's literally printing money without even touching a basketball. Meanwhile, the league's been in a frenzy trying to convince everyone they can totally survive without her. Except they can't. And now, everybody knows it. Reading between the lines reveals something absolutely fascinating. Silver's interview wasn't just a PR disaster. It was an accidental confession that the WNBA has built its entire recent success on one person's shoulders, and they have no backup plan. None. Because if Caitlin decides to step back even for a bit, attendance drops, merch sales plummet, TV ratings crater. She's not just a player, she's the entire marketing department and PR team and fan base rolled into one superstar. That's why her silence is so powerful. She doesn't need to say anything because her absence from the conversation speaks louder than any statement could. While everyone else is scrambling to explain and defend and justify, she's just living her life, cashing six-figure checks, and watching the league realize they created a situation where one player holds all the cards. You were onto something when you noticed how the players themselves are reacting to all this. Because while Silver's trying to smooth everything over, the actual athletes are exposing just how deep this dysfunction runs. Nneka Ogwumai called out leadership on national television. Sophie Cunningham hinted at a potential lockout. And then Candace Parker dropped an absolute bombshell that should terrify everyone at WNBA headquarters. Adam Silver texts her more than her own commissioner does. Let that sink in for a second. The NBA commissioner, the guy who technically oversees the WNBA but isn't supposed to be involved in day-to-day operations, has a better relationship with WNBA players than their actual commissioner. Candace revealed on her podcast that Adam personally congratulated her when she had a baby, when she retired, and when she signed her Amazon deal. Kathy Engelbert crickets. That sound you're hearing right now is the league's credibility collapsing in real time. Even Sabrina Ionescu admitted she has a better relationship with Adam than with Kathy. That shouldn't even be possible, but it is. And it perfectly explains why Silver's relationship issues comment hit so hard. He wasn't being dramatic. He was stating a fact that everyone already knew but nobody in power wanted to acknowledge. The WNBA has a leadership crisis, and Caitlin Clark's silence is forcing everyone to confront it. Now, before we go deeper, if you're connecting these dots with us, if you're seeing the pattern that mainstream coverage keeps ignoring, drop a comment below telling us what you think Caitlin's next move should be. Should she break her silence or keep letting the league expose itself? Your insights matter because you've been ahead of this story from the beginning.
NBA Commissioner Adam Silver says Caitlin Clark has set the world on fire. Silver didn't reveal much about their brief conversation, but his admiration for Clark's achievements couldn't have been clearer. Speaking on FanDuel Sports Network, he said Caitlin Clark set the world on fire, not just this community. And it's easy to see why. From dominating college basketball at Iowa, where her famous number 22 jersey was retired, to becoming the first overall pick in the 2024 NBA draft, Clark has been unstoppable.
Here's where the situation gets absolutely wild. Multiple sources are whispering that, behind closed doors, Adam Silver is in full damage control mode, specifically regarding Caitlin Clark. We're getting into rumor territory, but the breadcrumbs lead to Silver sending messages through representatives, desperately trying to rebuild that connection because he knows losing Caitlin, even symbolically, would be a PR apocalypse. And honestly, you can't blame him for panicking, because the numbers don't lie. When Caitlin got injured last season, viewership dipped instantly. Ticket prices dropped. Merch sales slowed. Fans weren't buying the historic growth narrative anymore. They were buying Caitlin Clark. The league tried to pretend it was about the sport as a whole, but the data exposed the truth. One player was carrying the entire league's momentum. That's why this apology matters, even if it's happening in private. Silver doesn't want to admit it publicly because that would be career suicide for everyone involved. But the WNBA without Caitlin Clark is basically Netflix without Stranger Things. Technically, it exists, but nobody's talking about it. The crazy part, Caitlin hasn't even uttered a single negative word about any of this. She stayed quiet, classy, and laser-focused on her off-season work, which probably makes them even more nervous, because silence from someone that powerful is dangerous. If she wanted to, she could end Cathy Engelbert's career with one perfectly timed quote, one tweet, one interview where she just tells the truth about how she's been treated. And Silver knows that. That's why people are saying he's practically begging her to stay involved, offering her more say in marketing decisions, player relations, even future league planning. But let's be real here. Caitlin doesn't need meetings or fancy titles. She already has the kind of influence you simply cannot buy. When she shows up to an event, it instantly sells out. When she gives a speech, she earns more than half the league's players make all year. She's become the walking billboard the WNBA never had. And that's exactly what frustrates the rest of the roster. Because while Silver's busy trying to keep Caitlin happy, veteran players are asking, where's our support? The divide is getting clearer by the day. Caitlin's on magazine covers while veterans are on Instagram stories, begging for better travel accommodations and pay. That's the core problem Adam Silver accidentally admitted. The league isn't united. And until that changes, no amount of polished press statements is going to fix the fundamental dysfunction.
Just own up and step down. I believe that's what should happen. Cathy need to just walk away. We're going off into the sunset. Well, the half-bright sunset, I should say, because it ain't going to be a good goodbye. But I feel like at this point, she going to have to step down. Stephen A. Smith said it last week, and I'm saying it right now.
Connecting the dots reveals something even more disturbing about the league's future. If these reports are accurate, Caitlin Clark could walk away from the WNBA tomorrow and never look back financially. She's got broadcasting offers, endorsement deals worth millions, brand ambassadorships lined up. She could take a year off right now and still pull in more money than most WNBA players see in their entire careers. That's what's genuinely scaring the league leadership, because their entire historic growth, that rocket trajectory Silver keeps bragging about, depends on one player staying loyal. And that's not a business plan. That's a gamble. A terrifying gamble that could blow up in their faces the moment Caitlin decides the dysfunction isn't worth her time anymore. Now here's where things get absolutely hilarious in a dark comedy kind of way. After all this chaos, after the internet roasted him for days, Silver actually tried to double down in a follow-up statement. He said, "Shipui, we're proud of our progress and the incredible talent driving it." Fans immediately fired back. You mean Caitlin Clark, right? Like, everybody knows who he's talking about. He can sugarcoat it all he wants with generic phrases about incredible talent, but there's no historic growth without that one name. And honestly, maybe that's the tough lesson he's finally learning. Respect the people who actually make your league relevant. Because once Caitlin's current situation evolves, she has options the WNBA can't compete with. The contrast is stark and telling. While Caitlin's cashing six-figure checks from speaking gigs during the offseason, the WNBA is still begging networks for better coverage deals. While she's building a media empire that'll outlast her playing career, the league can't even get its commissioner to text back their own players. That's why Adam Silver's in full-blown damage control mode. He's trying to protect not just the league's image, but its very survival. Because this isn't just about one bad interview anymore. It's about the realization that they've built a house of cards. And the foundation is one person who's starting to realize she doesn't need the house at all. The WNBA community is buzzing about what happens next. Social media is lighting up with theories about whether Caitlin will eventually address this publicly or just keep letting her success speak for itself. And honestly, the smart money's on her continuing this silence because it's working perfectly. Every day she doesn't respond, the league looks more desperate. Every week she signs another massive deal outside of basketball. The power dynamic shifts further in her direction. So that's where we're at. Adam Silver admitted the WNBA has relationship issues, accidentally confessed the league can't survive without its biggest star, and now he's watching that star build an empire that doesn't need him at all. Meanwhile, Caitlin Clark keeps cashing checks and proving her worth without saying a single word. Her silence isn't weakness. It's a calculated power move that's exposing everything wrong with the league's leadership. And the best part, she doesn't even have to break that silence for the message to get through loud and clear. Before we wrap, if you want to stay ahead of this story as it develops, if you're tired of the mainstream coverage that keeps missing the real narrative, smash that subscribe button and turn on notifications. We'll be tracking every move in this saga because something big is coming and you're not going to want to miss it. Drop your predictions below about what Caitlin does next. Does she break her silence or keep letting the league destroy itself? This is just the beginning. The WNBA wanted attention. They got it. But now they're learning that attention without respect is just exposure. And Caitlin Clark's silence is the loudest statement anyone could make.